Hey. I'm
Hey.
not ready yet.
I'm not ready. You ready now?
No.
How about now? Now? Oh, he's got the throat gurgles. I'll add it to the collection for the Christmas special.
Kindly don't.
Oh, why not? You're no fun.
Why would I want a collection of lowlights?
Oh, only the best lowlights.
Frankly, I'm offended.
Are you?
How dare you?
He who takes offence when none is intended is a fool. He who takes offence when it is intended is a greater fool. And he who has throat gurgles collected for a Christmas special is special. All right, let's get a level.
Yeah. You still, after all that, you need a little more.
Well, you were
Here
hardly
is-
saying anything.
Here is a little more.
Yeah, that's good. All right.
Great.
Colin had a problem and a microphone to spare. Thomas took it up and so the podcast went to air. For weeks and months they trolled through every single DVD. They've unwrapped all the ones they can and now they're cellulose free. Now they're cellulose free.
Hello, dear listener, and welcome to Cellulose Free. My name is Colin, and with me, as always, is my fellow film watcher, compadre and son, Thomas.
Hi. Hello.
I got that in one breath without even thinking about it. What have you been up to?
I went for a walk and I bought 10 pairs of socks.
And he got them 2 sizes too small.
No.
And
no,
he can't
I-
take them back because they've all been washed.
No, I made sure to get the right size. My feet are not small,
No.
per se.
No.
And been wearing through the various pop culture related socks that I have. I was like, if I go down the pop culture route again, then everything becomes very expensive because it's all licensed and it all has to go back to...
Yeah.
So I just picked up 2 packs of Anko cheap. Hopefully they're good, but if not, then they were at least cheap and easy to acquire.
Yeah, well, you got to make sure that you keep your toenails cut. Otherwise,
yeah.
that's where they're going to go first.
Yeah, it's either there or... What's the front of the foot? I know I've got a heel at the back of the foot.
Yeah.
What's the front of the foot?
What, you mean that bit?
Like
What are you talking about?
there.
Oh, that's the sole of your foot.
Yeah.
Is that where you wear through?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine usually go through the toes first.
Mm.
I think that one's about to go, or has gone.
Well, you know, it's a little worrying when you come back from your walk and one of your socks is upside down.
Yeah.
It wasn't upside down when I put it on.
Yeah, that is the problem with not having shoelaces, because that means that your shoe isn't actually on your foot tight enough.
Right.
Yep. So tying your shoes, not so that it's strangling your foot, but so that your shoelace is firmly on your foot, will reduce all of that. Reduce blisters and, yeah. Yeah. If your foot's slopping around in a loose shoe, then, yeah, your sock's going to... This is gripping stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or in your
Yeah.
case, not gripping.
And, you know, things are happening.
They are.
Yeah.
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 More things are happening.
On Friday I should hopefully find out exactly what things are happening, but for now it's just
No
sort
one
of
else is going to find out, but you will.
Well, you know, it depends who packs into the Derwent room.
Are they going to live stream it?
No.
Oh.
No. Would you simultaneously live stream 158 declarations. That's one for each seat and 8 Senate declarations.
Right. So you've worked out where the Senate declarations are being made?
The Senate declarations are at the RACV Hotel in Hobart. At the same time I intend to be in the Derwent Room at the My State Bank Arena, which is nowhere near the RACV Hotel.
No. Well, maybe I should go to the RACV Hotel and we can have the curly earpiece in and we'll just communicate. Do you reckon we'd get away with that? What
I'm going to see, if I go to the Derwent Room at My State Bank Arena, is the declaration of who the candidates are, one drawer to assign numbers to each of them, and a second drawer to put those numbers in a random order.
Gripping stuff, again.
Why? I'm not sure why it has to be double random. As far as I'm aware, the person drawing the balls from the thing has to be blindfolded, and so can't really influence the result, but...
They can't just employ someone full-time and poke their eyes out.
Again, 158 summons.
Oh, okay. All right.
I see that you have not yet acquired a new XLR cable.
No, well, it's behaved the last couple of times.
Right.
So, I don't know, maybe there was just some static build-up in the air, or one of those things that is intermittent.
Well, good news, though. I took my drink bottle with me, and the batteries I intended to dispose of.
Right.
Which I did into the provided bin outside of Woolworths.
Yes, I noticed that Woolworths had started putting them in there.
I believe there's also supposed to be one outside Coles, but
yeah,
Woolworths is, like, directly...
You don't have to go downstairs.
No. I did eventually anyway, but, yeah. Anything else that you have or have not been up to?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, we're over to me now,
yeah.
Are we? Well, I went for a walk, and I took some photos, and, I did order something from New South Wales, and the tracking was really fun, because it went from New South Wales to Victoria, sat around Victoria for 7 days, and then, according to the tracking, it went back up to New South Wales. And then the tracking company said, we're sorry, but we're really, really, really busy, so it probably won't get here for another week. And I'm thinking, that's because it's in New South Wales, because your tracking's saying it's in New South Wales. And on the bottom of that email, it states the consignment number for the thing that I'm tracking, and it also says that it's going to our suburb name and our postcode, but in Victoria, not in Tasmania. So I send a message to the people I'm buying this from. I sent that late last night, and then got up this morning, and it's still showing that it's in New South Wales, but it's out for delivery in New South Wales. Now, for those of you who don't have a map in front of them, these states are separated by a very large landmass and a very large body of water. So the chances of it being out for delivery to our address was pretty slim, according to their tracking information. So I couldn't do anything about it. I'd sent them the email, and then I got a message from Wendy saying, "You've got a package on the doorstep." And a message from the company that I bought this item from, saying, now we've got it saying that it was delivered. Have you received it? And I said, well, yes, I have, but it's still saying that it was still out for delivery, even though I'd received it, but out for delivery in New South Wales. So go figure. So they're getting in contact with their courier company and going to tell them sternly. Yeah, anyway.
Are there any good courier services in Australia?
I don't know. Because I got another thing that I'm waiting for, and that doesn't seem to have... It says that it's left the company that's sending it via this other courier company, and the courier company is saying, we can't give you any information until we receive it. And that's from Amazon.
Yeah.
So, go figure.
I got a package recently, and I was amused when the tracking said that it had been handed over to the final mile service, which I know what final mile means. It's the last one, but final mile meaning in Victoria.
Yes.
It did pretty quickly get down here. I was sort of surprised by how quickly it got down here. I'm not typically fond of Aramex, but
No. Well, that's the company that I'm
yeah,
waiting on. So, yeah. Anyway,
riveting.
gripping stuff. I'll rip the guts out of this and edit it down. Currently, it's stating that we've been talking for 48 minutes. I reckon I should be able to get that down to 10.
Yeah,
We have a film to watch.
we do.
How about we watch film?
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
What are we watching this week?
We are watching Jumper.
Or, as they say in America, cardigan.
I was expecting sweater.
Okay, sorry, sweater then. Yeah, all right then. We'll take that as well.
Cardigan's something a little more specific.
Yeah. Anyway, please tell our dear listener what sweater is all about.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Disney Plus, for this laconic description.
Anakin Skywalker.
A man discovers he possesses the ability to instantly teleport anywhere in the world. Is there anything else going on with this film?
No,
I
nothing
don't
at
know.
all.
I mean, there's a longer sentence in the details page, but I think that covers it.
All right. We're spoilt for choice. We can watch it with ads on Prime, because no doubt they will chuck ads all through it since they started doing that. Or we can watch it on Disney Plus, or we can watch it on Stan, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I reckon we might go for Disney Plug. We're going to watch that, and then we're going to come back, and then we're going to zoom off to another place in the world, and then come back, and then zoom off to another place in the world, and then come back, and then we'll talk about it. So we shall catch you on the flip side, and the flip side, and the flip side, and the flip side.
Turn to side B, and side B, and side B, and
You're-
side B.
You're a mongrel, you're a mongrel, you're a mongrel, you're a mongrel. So, and I'm going to diverge from a tradition here and ask you what you thought 8.5 years ago.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Because Thomas did manage to dig up a Facebook post that I made concerning us watching this 8.5 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
okay.
what did you think 8.5 years ago?
This post comes from Facebook. It's by Colin.
It is. Hi, that's me.
And it reads, M15, so that's Morgan, gave it a 7.
Right,
T17, that's me.
that would be you.
That is me. I said, a few well done bits do not a good steak make. And the same applies to film. This is okay at best.
Right. And what did I say?
You said, putting it out there, I quite like this film. Yes, it's flawed, but it jumps all over many a Bay film. And Man of Steel.
Oh, all right.
Um,
So, let's jump back to the present. What did you think?
a few well done bits do not a good steak make. And the same applies to film. This is okay at best.
And my thoughts are Oh, I can't see from here. You'll have to read my mind, Thomas.
Yeah, would it be something along the lines of putting it out there, I quite like this film, yes it's flawed, but it jumps all over many a Bay film, and Man of Steel.
Wow, you read my mind. That's interesting that neither of us have changed our minds about this.
No. I actually think that I may have been slightly soft on it.
Although then,
Yes.
so 17-year-old you was slightly soft on it.
Yes.
Right.
I don't think the film's good.
Okay.
No.
Right.
I don't care about any of the characters,
Hmm.
because the acting's not anything to write home about. And I don't think they're particularly well developed even beyond that.
No.
Our lead is a criminal who did crimes
He did.
and felt good about them, and then consequences came.
One of the thoughts that I had whilst watching it is that I had Brianna sitting right behind me, basically, and I got the vibe, and I could be wrong here, that she quite enjoyed it, or at least bits of it. There were bits where she was verbalising and laughing at things and oohing at things, and maybe she is more of the target audience, even though I don't think they knew who the target audience was. It was uneven in that respect. It was unbalanced as far as the comedic elements, the tension elements, and the dark elements, all of which were there, but the balance just didn't feel quite right. But it seemed to, and I'm only reading from what I could hear of her reactions, that maybe she was putting it together a little better. That being said, I still hold that if you are going to label a film as a guilty pleasure, I still, within the confines of a couple of notes that I made, I still did enjoy that film. But one of the biggest confining things is it isn't a blockbuster movie. Even though it's got superheroes in it, in quotes, it isn't a Marvel film in that we are just going to overwhelm you with large amounts of special effects. Unfortunately, what it did overwhelm me with was major wobble cam that I found really not... It was disorienting. It disoriented me, but it made me queasy in places where it felt like, let's wobble it so that we can fudge things, rather than... It was a deliberate choice, but it just didn't work in a lot of cases because they kept on alternating between wobble cam in places where there wasn't a lot of action happening and locked off or set on tripod cam, which was arbitrary as well. And so, yeah, you just get comfortable with actually being able to tell what's going on, and then your head would be whiplashed around, but not necessarily as an effect. It just...
And the action sequences. The school of, if we're not cutting every second, we're doing it wrong.
Yeah. However, there were a lot of smaller, not so much money shot as a money scene, I guess, but low key. It was never majorly bombastic as far as, well, that Michael Bay comparison again pops up, but certainly also lots of Marvel films where it just overwhelms the senses with lots of special effects. The main special effect that was in this was their jumping.
Yeah.
And I actually loved that.
Yeah.
The way the jumps happened just worked for me. The quirky nature of where they'd end up occasionally and what they'd bring with them occasionally, and as almost and it wasn't, but it had indie film vibes of a superpower nature. It had constraints, I think, is what I'm trying to say. And I liked those constraints once I recognised that was what happening. Okay, I'm going to shut up now, and you can just rip that to shreds.
I agree that the jumping looks good when it's not during one of those cut every second action scenes.
Yep.
Because when you're cutting every second, things aren't comprehensible, and it's not helped by the characters suddenly being in different places.
Yeah. And speaking of those different places, perhaps that's where a lot of the budget went. We can't do lots of special effects because we're actually going to some of these places.
But we're only going to some very specific places multiple times. We're going to the Sphinx. We're going to milk the Sphinx for what we can. We're going to the Colosseum.
And we'll milk that as well.
We went to China, I think.
China, Prague.
But, there's a question of where can you shoot China? The bits of China that they were shooting, where can you shoot that? The Empire State Building?
Yeah, but how many of those were actually the real play? I was watching the credits and the unit photography, there was certainly a lot of places that they went for unit photography. But as to whether that was just for establishment shots or whatever, it's... Yeah, I'm still hanging on to the fact that within its constraints, other than the wobble cam, I still like that movie.
And I don't.
And you like it less.
Yeah.
So we have diverged. I don't think I have expanded my love for this film, but I think my description from 8.5 years ago still well and truly sits.
Yeah, this is the second time I've seen it, and I don't feel any need to see it again.
Well, it's your choice for next week, but I know what I'm picking for the week after.
Do you want me to wave the white flag before we've even recorded the episode?
Now, I am going to be interested in asking the two others who watched it what they thought, and I did make a note in my notes as to talking about Ad Astra, so we must do that. Do you have anything else to say about this film?
No.
Okay.
No.
So neither do I, other than look, don't expect Marvel, don't expect big budget Marvel, but I would encourage you to give it a go. There is some really clunky acting in it, but there's also some good bits in it. I'll still watch it over a bad Michael Bay film. Ad Astra. Before we move in, let's duck back into Ad Astra. I did ask those who watched it last week, and in summary, yeah, they were in agreement with us in that it just didn't make a lot of sense in a lot of places, and it was just messy and clunky. And
Yeah.
is that
Yeah.
a fair assessment of...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, in that case, we shall move on.
The following segment has no title. Thank you.
Other than that post from 8.5 years ago, we have 2 comments on Discord from people who I suspect do not listen to the podcast because it's a public Discord and people can just say things if you also say things.
Indeed. And people did say things.
Yeah.
Including Grass Dragon.
Yes. So what I do every week is that I put something in the cover art that's usually some attempt to be witty, but it doesn't always work.
No, it doesn't always work.
No. All of which is to say that last week I put a story in the cover art that I don't think I actually told in the episode proper, which was that when I was coming back from my walk, the bus stop that I was waiting at was outside an Italian restaurant, and then I came home and ate fusilli bolognese.
Who'd have thunk it? You
Yeah.
could have eaten it right there and not come home.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have been fusilli.
No, it would have been too silly.
It would have been spaghetti.
Yeah, true.
It also would have cost me upwards of $15.
Oh, can't have that.
And I can't remember exactly what the price was on the menu, but when the alternative was spending nothing on a meal that cost less to produce,
Because of free labour. Yeah.
it wasn't a difficult call.
So you did that.
Yes.
And then,
The two comments on Discord are in relation to a cropped-in picture of that title text that I posted, because I went to 3 lines and it was quite small.
it was,
Grass Dragon,
hi Grass Dragon,
if you're listening,
if you are.
says...
And if you're not, hi Grass Dragon. I don't discriminate.
says, that's my favourite Fall Out Boy B-side. Fall Out Boy, a band known for their quite lengthy song titles.
Right. That explains it. Okay.
Yes.
I am understanding now.
With the exception of Thanks for the Memories, which is so titled because
They had to fit it into the file size of the recording.
No, the label said they should write shorter titles.
Ah, so they took a page from my book and just removed all the vowels?
Yeah.
Cool.
Didn't stop them writing other long titles. And Gertrude Perkins
Hi, Gertrude Perkins.
says, this is just a story from my life.
I think we've all sat at a bus stop right next to an Italian restaurant, looked at the menu, and then thought, nah, I'll go home and eat, and then be surprised that what is prepared and presented to you is Italian.
I mean, I wasn't surprised.
I'm going to have to edit that out.
You told me it was going to be.
I did. There was a bit of texting going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all your comments, whether you are listeners or not, and whether you will hear these thanks or not.
We come up to the 0 guesses for last week's file name of ad_astra.
What else could it be? And speaking of what else could things be, I've got a feeling of throwback to a number of years ago when we were, or I was, Thomas will insist it was just me, was under the impression that we were restricted to 6 letters in the file name. Bit of deja vu here as to what the file name might be for today's episode for the film that we watched today, which was Jumpers.
Jumper.
Sorry, Jumper. Woolly jumpers, sweaters.
Singular. Singular jumper.
See, I keep making things singular that should be plural and things that are plural singular. Why do I do this? We watched Jumper today.
We did.
And if you can make a guess as to what the file name for... I keep losing my voice. It is...
File name guesses, film suggestions, any other sort of commentary, video comments, Spotify comments, either of the places listed in the show notes, wherever else you happen to find us and that is appropriate to do so, and ideally things related to the podcast and not related to other things that we've been doing. No reason that I'm saying that. We'll move on.
Pick a film for next week so we can go to bed.
Oh, wow, yeah, no, it's gone. His voice is gone. I guess nothing to be done about it then, is there? No. Oh, it's my turn. Right, yes. So...
Furball. Okay, I'm back. It's your turn.
It is my turn. Did you know that next week is our 250th main episode as a podcasting team?
I had absolutely no idea of that, Thomas. No idea whatsoever.
And I have decided to celebrate this occasion.
Apart from the fact that I actually left the recording
Yeah.
of last week's conversation post-credits.
You did.
That did sort of hint that might be the case, as my voice goes again. Yes, 250 episodes next week.
And I have chosen to celebrate this by doing absolutely nothing different as regards my plans. Next week we are watching The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift.
Wow. So this will differ from the other Fast and Furious franchise films that we have watched so far, in that it will involve predominantly Japanese cars. Whereas the other ones have, checks notes, apart from one American muscle car, Japanese cars. Okay.
Yeah, we are going to Japan, and good news if you can't remember anything that has come before, because it's not relevant.
Good.
Yeah.
Would you please tell our dear listener as to what next week's film is all about?
An American street racer moves to Japan and feels isolated until he finds out about a new sport, says Prime Video.
We are watching Fast and Furious, or is it The Fast and the Furious?
The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift.
And the Furious Tokyo Drift. We hope that you can join us next week, but until then, we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
You have been listening to Cellulose Free. Your hosts were Colin, who produces and edits the show, and Thomas, who makes the artwork and music. Cellulose Free is recorded in the Deranged Cat Studios in scenic Tasmania, Australia. We keep track of our extensive physical media collection through My Movies, which we highly recommend. You can find links to that, as well as other places you can find us, in the show notes. Cellulose Free is a Hi Hello production.
Had you going for a moment there. Just one sweet moment where, you know, maybe I would deliberately pick a film that I know to be very good.
No.
I did not.
No.
That didn't happen.
I didn't think that you were going to do that.
Oh. Well, it's a good thing, because I didn't.
No.
It's not what I did.
No, I'm stopping.
Good call.
Otherwise, yeah. I need my voice for tomorrow, for all those talking things that I do on a Thursday.
While you're editing, just mumbling to yourself the whole time.
I would like to point out, Thomas, that editing is one of the few things that you cannot listen to music whilst doing.
Oh yeah, no, it's
it's mean.
Really messes with the backlog whenever I have to do any sort of creative work.
Yeah. Now you can draw whilst you listen to music.
Yeah. I can't write and listen to a podcast.
No.
And anything with lyrics is probably out also.
Yeah. But editing a podcast,
no,
you can't listen to music. It stinks. Anyway, I'm stopping. Because I need to edit that out.
Yeah.